Welcome back to the City Current Radio Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're honored to be with our next guest, our friend Bradford Vieira. He is the president and CEO of ServisFirst Bank Nashville. Bradford, how are you doing, buddy?
Doing great, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So thank you for your partnership in City Current and all your help to power the good. You do amazing good in the community. We're going to cover a lot of ground here, but give us a little bit of context, a little history lesson for ServisFirst Bank.
So ServisFirst Bank Nashville, we started here in April of 2013, almost 8 years ago, if you can believe that, Jeremy. Myself and a couple other teammates started it. Now we've got almost 28 people here now, getting ready to move into a big location we'll talk about here shortly. But, it's just shy of $1 billion in assets here locally. Company was started in Birmingham in 2005. We're in 11 markets, including Nashville. Experiencing some great growth. Obviously, 2020 was a challenge for everyone, but very proud of how our company handled it. But, commercial bank, not a retail bank. We differentiate ourselves through customer service. We try to hire bankers that have good relationships, that know what they're doing, get out of their way, and take care of clients. If we can hire good bankers and take care of our clients better than our competitors, we're going to win.
And that is one of the things, to your point, that differentiates you and sets you apart is the wealth of experience, but the laser focus on the customer service. And so talk about the culture, talk about your team, dive in a little deeper.
Sure. We've got just an enormously experienced team now, Jeremy. We've added a lot of experience since the last time you and I talked on this radio show. Most recently, we hired an executive vice president who helped start Capstar Bank, Brad Greer. I worked with Brad back in the 90s at First American National Bank here in Nashville, and just one of the most experienced bankers in town. Big win for us. Great guy, great human being, really good relationships with his clients. And we've been courting Brad for many, many years. And finally, the timing was right. The size of ServisFirst Nashville was right for Brad. And Brad's going to be wildly successful here. Before that, we hired Steve Ubelor, who was a founding member of Pinnacle Bank back 21 years ago. We also worked with Steve at First American. Steve is probably the most experienced banker in Nashville. It's a great reputation. We hired him to take over our credit function, to be our chief credit officer, just doing a phenomenal job for us. This is about ServisFirst. This is not about our competitors, but, getting a founding member from a bank that has the stature of Pinnacle here in town to join ServisFirst just speaks volumes of what we've been able to do here, the reputation we have, and what we're going to do going forward. In one little office here, we have got an enormous amount of experience and an enormous amount of high quality clients that follow these bankers. And obviously that's part of our culture.
Talk about the pandemic before we dive into PPP and all of that, the CARES Act. Give us an idea of how the pandemic has affected ServisFirst Bank on your end overall operationally. So talk about what the pandemic has done for you and your team. Obviously,
the pandemic's been a challenge. I think there's not a person that lives in the United States or worldwide that hasn't been challenged. Fortunately, if there is a silver lining for us, given that we are a high technology bank, not a lot of locations, we were able to use our technology to our benefit. We don't have high traffic in our branch, in our retail location, because 95% of our clients use our technology. So that came in really handy in 2020 when nobody could go anywhere. From an employee perspective, we obviously worked from home when we needed to work from home, and then came back and with the number one goal, which is our culture, is make sure our clients are being taken care of. We're in constant communication with our clients through all of 2020. And then obviously, the Paycheck Protection Program through the CARES Act, from March to June, right, was our number one focus. And that was getting dollars to our clients and our prospective clients that needed those dollars. So let's go ahead and carry that forward since you mentioned it. Talk about that process, what that was like on your end, and obviously just kind of where we stand right now overall. So talk about kind of the CARES Act, the PPP, the first phase of it in terms of just what that was like in that process for you and your clients. And then we'll talk about where we are now. Sure. So, March, April, and May seem like about 15 years ago now. Those were very challenging times for all banks. Our team did a phenomenal job. We banded together. We worked 7 days a week for about a month because as you may know, Jeremy, recall back when the first round of triple P, as we call it, came out, there was not a lot of information about how long the dollars were going to be available. So we had to really bust it to make sure we didn't miss out for any of our clients. That ended up not being as big of a deal once the second part of round one came out. But we were very proud. Our bank as a whole did about $1 billion of PPP loans in about a 4-week time. Nashville locally did right at 50 million in triple P loans, and we did all that in about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, which we're very proud of. Every client of ours or prospect that contacted us that needed dollars in the first round, we got them those dollars in the first round. We're very proud of that. I guess what we're calling round two now, or what I call 2021 round, we are actively working. Obviously, a lot less volume. Obviously, there's more stringent requirements on who qualifies from a revenue reduction standpoint, from a year-over-year, quarter-over-quarter perspective. But we're actively working about 50 or 60 applications right now, both for clients that got round one through us, and also for there's a lot of companies out there that got round one through another institution that did not like how the process was handled. They've reached out to us, and we have said, yes, if you're willing to move your banking to us over a period of time, then we absolutely will work on getting you round $2. And that's been very well received. And our team is obviously, we know a lot more now than we did in March. So it's not a helter skelter, all hands on deck, 24/7 kind of thing right now. We are actively working these applications, make sure we get them done correctly, to make sure we set them up so that they're all forgiven on the back end.
What are 1 or 2 or even 3 of the major things that the business leaders and owners need to know with regards to the 2021 dollars? So what are some of the main things they just need to know?
Right. So, the primary qualifier now is you need to have shown a minimum 25% reduction in revenue, and they're very specific quarter-over-quarter things that you have to show. So, some clients don't qualify because they didn't have that reduction. But once you meet that qualifier from a revenue reduction standpoint, it's much more streamlined this go around than it was round one. We have more information. The SBA has given us more answers to questions, which has been very helpful. The primary thing is what I would tell business owners: if you meet that criteria from a revenue reduction standpoint, then we need to get on the phone with you and talk through what documentation we need to have. We now have a very good idea of what payroll information and expense. There's a lot of different types of expenses that qualify now that you can use the dollars for. And we package all that together and we put it through an application and send it to the SBA. The SBA is now looking at these on the front end before we actually get the dollars out the door, which will make the forgiveness piece a whole lot easier on the back end. But yeah, I would say first and foremost, if you qualify for the revenue reduction, then we need to talk and make sure that overall we're going to qualify, and then we can get you through the system.
Yeah. And like you said, now knowledge is the key in communication. And now that you know everything on the front end and you've got the process down, it makes it a lot easier. And so you can manage it so much more efficiently and effectively.
Makes all the difference in the world, Jeremy. That was very challenging because we were basically, running with no headlights the first round. And now we have much more information. It's much more organized, right? The clients feel that it's much more organized process.
So you mentioned on the front end, a big exciting move. Talk about that.
Yeah, so Broadwest, the fantastic new development going up on Broadway and West End where they split. Broadwest Development, which is a very good friend to ServisFirst Bank, has been for a long time. I was doing that development. It's going to be one of the nicest, if not the nicest development in Nashville. 2 towers, office tower and a hotel condo tower. The hotel is going to be a Conrad by Hilton, which is kind of their second level brand right under the Waldorf. It's going to be very, very nice. Condos on top of the hotel, which is going to be very nice. Condominiums. It's going to be a little bit of a community. Our retail branch is going to be there. We're going to have a drive-through, which we don't have today. I'm going to be in the parking garage, which is going to be another ad that we offer our clients, so they don't have to come in and see us if they don't want to. If they can just do it in their car. And given the pandemic, it's probably a really good thing. We're going to be on the entire second floor of the building, which is basically going to double our square footage we have today. So it's going to give us the opportunity over a certain period of time to double our team. We're looking to hire a mortgage team, which we don't have here locally today, which is another service we need to be offering to our clients. So we're actively looking for those for that right now. Just going to be tremendous. Our exposure is going to be great. We're going to have signage right there on West End, which we much better than what we have today. So we're going to be able to grow our team, provide more services to our clients, much more visible location. You know, we're a commercial bank. We're not a retail bank, as you well know. So we don't have 15 locations where we have 15 different signs in Middle Tennessee. We've really got one shot at getting some eyes on our logo. And this is going to be a much better situation for us with that, because we don't want to have a bunch of brick and mortar. We spend a lot of money on technology. We've talked about how efficient ServisFirst is, one of the lowest efficiency ratios in the industry, which is how many dollars you spend to make a dollar. And that's because we don't have a lot of brick and mortar all over the country or all over the Southeast. And the people that founded our bank back in 2005 in Birmingham made a very, in my opinion, very good decision way back then. And we're not going to have a lot of brick and mortar. We're going to make sure that our cash management, our technology is top notch. Let's hire good bankers that provide better customer service. And if we can do all that and do it well, it's going to be hard for us to lose.
Absolutely. Talk about the commitment to the community, your philanthropic focus, because you do a lot in the community. And so talk about that.
Absolutely. You know, we ask our employees to be as engaged as they can. We ask our employees to serve on boards, nonprofit boards, to help serve the community. We have great relationships with Junior Achievement. 2020 was a challenge from that perspective because, you know, prior to the pandemic, you know, we were routinely in classrooms at elementary schools and middle schools and high schools all over Davidson County, helping teach classes and helping teach finance and how to manage a checkbook to students. But 2020, we've been doing a lot of that via Zoom, believe it or not, holding classes via Zoom through Junior Achievement. So that has made the best out of a tough situation for them. You know, we also bank a ton of nonprofits. When I say bank nonprofits, we're not just providing loans or opening accounts. We are actively involved. We are contributing dollars for their campaigns and their purposes and their goals. There are full relationships. We are spending personal hours with those organizations, and it's important to us. We need to maintain. We need to be out there in the community and helping the community that we serve. And it's nice to be able to do it with institutions and companies that do business with us as well, because we understand each other well. You know, the tornado that came through, that seems like forever ago as well. We worked with a company called Generous, a nonprofit that helped us through a match funding program raise funds for 4 different nonprofits for the tornadoes: the Red Cross, Salvation Army, Hands On Nashville, and Second Harvest Food Bank. So very proud of that. We jumped headfirst into that when the tornado hit over in East Nashville. We are trying to help any way we can with the bombing on 2nd Avenue on Christmas Day. Very tough situation for Nashville. That area is still closed. A lot of business owners down there are hurting right now, so we're trying to get involved and help. We've had a couple clients involved over there that we're trying to make sure that we help as well.
Give me one thing that you've learned during the pandemic that you think is going to make ServisFirst Bank Nashville stronger coming out.
Great question, Jeremy. I think the biggest thing I learned is that our bank was very well positioned to handle a situation like that, where everybody had to be remote. You know, other banks that didn't rely as much as us on technology and really relied on 38 locations, I think found it pretty difficult. So I was very proud of how positioned we were. I was also very proud of how our team handled the entire situation. It's never easy when everybody's all spread out remotely. You still got to take care of your clients. You got to meet your clients' needs. And, you know, because of our excellent culture here, our employees really just went above and beyond, whether that was from their living room in pajamas, that was on Saturday night or Sunday afternoon. Just really impressed how we handled that. And I think the other thing I learned, Jeremy, is that we always have to be prepared for everything. And you cannot get comfortable with the existing status quo. And, you know, there's not a bank out there or a business out there, I think, would tell you that they were 100% completely prepared and they were ready for it, right? Because this is a pandemic, right? You know, hopefully, knock on wood, none of us will ever see another pandemic in our lifetimes. Hopefully our kids won't either. But you always have to be prepared. So, you know, we were making a few changes from a business continuity standpoint, from a remote access standpoint, we were well positioned, but we're making some tweaks, right? Because we know more now than we did back in March.
So wrap up on your end and mention the website, social media, phone numbers. Where do we go to reach out and learn more about ServisFirst Bank Nashville?
Sure, and absolutely. And I thank you for your time, Jeremy. I want to, everybody that hears this or sees this, I can't impress upon everybody enough how important cityCURRENT is to Nashville and what a great job Jeremy and his team are doing. We participate as much as we can. We did not participate as much as we would have liked in 2020, but we're going to fix that in 2021. Hopefully we can get together more in person and do more things to help cityCURRENT achieve what they want to achieve. But ServisFirst is very proud to be a part of it. Website, www.servisfirstbank.com. Service is SERVIS. Phone number, where we are right now, 615-921-3500. That number will not change when we move. Existing address, 1801 West End Avenue. New address, 1600 West End Avenue, literally 2 blocks down the road. My email address, you can email me anytime. B as in boy, V as in Victor, IEIRA @servisfirstbank.com. Reach out to me anytime. And if there's somebody out there that's not happy with their bank or not happy how their bank's performed, ServisFirst is a place for it. We'd love to talk to you.
Well, Bradford Vieira, President and CEO, ServisFirst Bank Nashville, thank you for your charter partnership in cityCURRENT, all you and your team do to make a difference and power the good. Thank you for being a guest on the show. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate your time.